Hello everyone, thank you very much for clicking and for watching the video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. This is the free game collection. We're building a game collection. We're not spending any money on it and we absolutely love doing it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you stay around. If you're a returning subscriber, you know all that. And we got a little bonus video, something a little different. As you could probably tell, there's a lot of Game Boy stuff around me. So we've hit a milestone and I just wanted to do a quick video so I capture the moment. So if you've been watching for a while, you may know that basically part of my collecting mentality is when I started doing it, the one thing I always wanted to do was get all the games back I had from my childhood. Every single one. I lost them over the years and I wanted to capture them all back again. So the first console I ever had was a Mega Drive, and last year I got all my Mega Drive games back in my possession and it felt so good to achieve it. So this year I thought, right, what was the next console I had growing up? And it was the Game Boy. So the Game Boy, sort of simultaneous. I think I had a Game Boy and a Mega Drive roughly around the same time, but the Game Boy was the next console I had growing up, and I knew that I had most of the games and I didn't realise there was only a couple games left that I needed to get and hit that milestone and be able to tick off the Game Boy collecting off my mental list. So I just wanted to quickly show you the last few games that I've picked up from CEX. And do you know what, I thought I'd quickly show you my collection because you don't see people talking about Game Boys very often and they don't really get much attention, and I can't think of a time going forward where I'll ever get the opportunity to sort of talk about the Game Boy or show you these again, because I won't be picking them up again from CEX unless we find them out and about while we're doing our game hunting at car boots and things. So that's what we're going to do today. We're just going to quickly show you my collection so we can tick it off the box, tick that milestone off, and it feels so good. It feels great. I know everyone collects differently, but for me, I've always had this target of getting the games back, and this is second time I've done it. Oh, well, third, because I got my PS2 games back as well, but I'm still collecting for PS2 because there's quite a few ones I didn't have growing up that I still want. But it feels great. It feels fantastic. I'm not one of these collectors that just needs more and more and more, especially with the Game Boy, because I don't play the Game Boy very often, but to be able to get all my childhood back feels fantastic. So what were the games I was missing? So I did mention this before, I think it was the second or third video this year in the series, that the one game that I needed back, I was wrong. There was actually two, and I was kind of wrong about this as well. So I've got the two games. Oh, first thing we have to do, take away the CEX voucher that we spent on these, £32. Let's take £32 away from there. Now, £10 was on Tetris. I know, you're sitting there thinking, how did this guy not have Tetris? It has to be the most common Game Boy game in the world. I don't know why I didn't think I had Tetris, but I basically run through this stack. This is a nail polish stand, by the way, for my Game Boy games on. If anyone has a better way of displaying them, please let me know, because I saw this as the best I could come up with. They're inexpensive. This thing cost me a £5, but they're a bit flippy floppy. They're a bit all over the shop. But yeah, this is a nail varnish display case. Tetris is in beautiful condition. You wouldn't even know how old that is. That looks like it was made yesterday, so it's fantastic. However, unfortunately, when I took a look, I couldn't find Tetris, and I was like, oh my god, I haven't got Tetris, so I must get that this year to complete the set of Game Boy games. Fantastic. When I moved this to put it on the table that you're looking at, I heard a noise. What fell down the back? Tetris. I did have Tetris. It had fell somehow. It was being propped up. As soon as I moved it, it fell. I did wonder how on earth I hadn't ever collected a copy of Tetris. So now I have two copies of Tetris, which is annoying because I spent £10 voucher on a game I already have. I haven't done that for a very, very long time. Now, this is in nicer condition. Unfortunately, I picked this up about a week or two ago, so I can't take it back now, and I picked it up in store. But it's in lovely condition, so I will be keeping that. You get £4 back on voucher for it. So while we're here, let's stick £4 back up there, because as soon as I finish this at some point, I'm going to be taking this into CEX and get £4 voucher. Let's just stick that on over there. So bit of a silly mistake, but I do have a nicer copy of Tetris now. So there's my copy of Tetris. We're not going to discuss Tetris because you've played Tetris. If you're watching this channel, you know what Tetris is. If you don't know what Tetris is and you're somehow watching this channel, your YouTube feed's just gone crazy. Don't know how you've got here. But happy for joining us. I'm glad you're here. The other game, so I don't know if you can tell just from looking at it, some of you will. It is Zelda Link's Awakening. So I never actually had this game growing up, but my next door neighbour did. And I used to go around and I used to play on her Game Boy quite a bit. I just never had it in my collection. I always wanted to add it in. Because it was my next door neighbours, I never got very far in it, but I always used to sit there and play it for a good couple of minutes. And I do have memories of sitting in her living room playing it. So this was one that I basically slipped my mind, but I saw it pop up on the CEX app when I was looking to see where Tetris was. And I saw it and I thought, oh my god, how did I forget that? So I picked this up. This was £22, so a little bit pricier, these. Obviously, none of these are boxed. You don't see boxed Game Boy collectors very often. If you ever come across one, look after them. They're a rare breed of person. I never see anyone collecting Game Boy. You don't hear people talking about Game Boy very often, which is another reason I wanted to do this video. But yeah, picked up those 2 games. One I didn't need, this one I forgot about, but now I've done it. I finished with Game Boy. Every single game is here, and I just want to run through them quickly so you can see. So I'll be adding these. So obviously the Pokemon games sit at the top. Now a lot of you might be thinking, this guy collects games, he spends a lot of money on games, why has he not gone and got a box of Pokemon? Because these are actually mine from when I was growing up. This is the actual first Pokemon game I had when I was very young. I used to sit there playing on this Game Boy. So there's great nostalgia for me. I'm really attached to these 2 items. So this is my Game Boy, this is my copy of Pokemon Blue, so they're irreplaceable. I don't actually play this Game Boy because I'm scared of breaking it. I've got another Game Boy Color that I got from a car boot, so I look after this one, and obviously I've got this one here, but it's quite old now. It's nearly as old as I am, 2 years younger than me, so I don't play that one very often, but this is irreplaceable. I don't care about the box. This is mine. I absolutely love it. Again, Pokemon Red, very worn, but I picked this up very early on and when I was collecting, and I paid nothing for it whatsoever, like 50p or a pound or 10p or something. It was absolutely nothing. And I've sat down and I've played this for a good while. So now I've got an attachment to this one, and I've mentioned this before. This is Pokemon Yellow. This is the game I bought for 20 pence when I also bought Silent Hill on the PS1 for 20 pence, which kicked off all this collecting for me. So this first gen of Pokemon games, yes, I could go out and get unboxed, but I'm not going to, because the attachment I have to these 3, it doesn't matter whether they're boxed or not, they're my Pokemon games. They'll always be. I need to look into my will somehow to see how I get them buried with me. I'm sure you can do that. This is Pokemon Silver. This is my copy of Pokemon Silver growing up as well. So again, it's never been replaced. I'm never letting go of it. It's one of the few games I actually managed to keep hold of growing up, because Game Boy games are so small. I just had them floating in boxes with me as I grew up and went to uni and got houses. So really glad for this. Pokemon Silver, fantastic game. Again, we're not going to talk too much about Pokemon because I'm sure you know all about them. And then again, Pokemon Gold and Pokemon Crystal. My brother bought me these, and he didn't pay anywhere near what they are worth now, which is fantastic. But of course, these are gifts from my brother, so these stay with me as well. So that's why I've never really been interested in buying the Gen 1 and Gen 2 box Pokemon games, because they mean so much to me. So the other games, so these first couple of the ones I had as a kid, so Kirby's Dream Land. Who remembers Kirby's Dream Land? This was fantastic. I remember being very young, maybe 4 or 5, going to the bowling alley, playing Kirby's Dream Land in the car and on the way back. Loved it. Metroid 2, Return of Samus. I think I got this, well I did, I got this for like 20p from the car boot. It's a good little game. I didn't have this one growing up, but I have played this a little bit. It's a good game. It's okay, for considering the limitations of the Game Boy, it's okay, but I didn't have that one growing up actually. I don't know why that's there. These ones I all did. So Rodland, this is my copy of Rodland growing up. How do you describe Rodland? It's like a different levels platformer. You've got like a stick. I assume it's a rod actually, now I think about it, and you like smash them round. You have to clear all the enemies on the level and move on. But I have spent hundreds of hours playing this game. Absolutely love it. So much nostalgia for it. It's a bit battered because it's been with me practically my whole life. But Rodland, my mum picked that up for me many years ago, so that's a very special game for me. Mortal Kombat 4, that's not a great game to be honest, but I played it a lot growing up. Again, same again, WrestleMania 2000, so I had this a little later on in the Game Boy's life cycle. It's not fantastic, but when you're a big wrestling fan growing up, you keep hold of it, don't you? And it's one of those. Got some fond memories of sitting playing it. I'll do these two together. So every collection needs Super Mario Land and Super Mario Land 2. I did have these growing up. This one isn't. You can see at the back, I paid £8 for this at a convention at some point in time. I can't remember picking it up, but it's clearly there. Retro Plushie Games. Thank you very much. This one isn't mine. I have a feeling, though, it's one of my cousin's old games, because I can't ever remember picking it up, and I remember having it floating around for many years. But Super Mario Land, I know it's not my copy, because my copy was completely battered, but Super Mario Land or Super Mario Land 2, don't need to say too much on that. Jurassic Park, ever played that? It's not great again, it's not great, but again, I played it so much growing up, and this game really wasn't that great, but I spent hundreds of hours playing it. It must have been Nintendo World Cup. Unfortunately, this isn't my copy, but I only paid £3 for it a little while ago. A lot of these have still got the prices on. £3 from a convention I paid for this just to get it back in my hands. Yeah, it wasn't great, but let's face it, not many of the Game Boy games were great because they're so limited by the tech that they were being played on. Now, unfortunately, this is my copy of Pokemon Pinball, and I have lost the battery pack, lost it many years ago. I really want a cover for this, but obviously I'm not going to go out and buy the game to replace it because this is my copy, so it's irreplaceable. But if anyone by any miracle has a spare battery cover for Pokemon Pinball, let me know, because I am your man. So they're the games I had growing up. So I didn't have too many, and they're not even the games I had growing up. I had these ones growing up. I didn't have Pokemon Gold and Silver. I didn't have Metroid. So I had a very limited collection of Pokemon games of Game Boy games, sorry, growing up. But obviously I played a lot of Mega Drive at the time, so that's it. And then these are just the other ones I've got, which I haven't paid. I paid very little for these, and most of these I picked up in one purchase for like 20p, 10p many years ago when nobody had interest. So I'll show you quickly. Gojira, I've not played that one to be fair. Disney's Mulan, that weren't great. I remember playing that quickly, got fed up of that. FIFA 2000, not too bad. Not too bad. I did play that quite a bit. I think I did play that when I was a bit younger, but it wasn't mine. That might have been another one my next door neighbour had. Miss Pac-Man, it's Pac-Man with a bow, you can't go wrong. Soccer, never played it. Played this one quite a bit actually when I picked this up. WWF Superstars. It's got Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan on the front. Absolutely loved the Macho Man. So that was okay. I say okay, you have to take these okays and goods with a pinch of salt. They're Game Boy games. They're good for their time for what they are. Terminator 2, meh. Alleyway, there's so many different versions of Alleyway, not great. This is one I picked up, which I was surprised it worked. 210 in one. As you know, there's not 200. It's obviously a fake Game Boy cartridge with some ROMs on it. There's not 210 games on it, as you probably know. There's probably about 40 that are just duplicated 5 or 6 times. But not too bad. The games on there work absolutely fine, so I was happy to pick that up. Why not? It's worth a go, isn't it? Street Fighter 2. Yeah, it's not great. Play it on the Mega Drive if you can. Tennis, never played that one to be completely honest with you. I'll probably give these a quick go, shouldn't I? They don't take long. Yoshi's Cookie, I've never got on with that. I know that's quite fondly thought of by some people, but never truly got on with it. Final Fantasy Legends 3, not played that one either. I should give these a go, shouldn't I? Because they don't take too long. I might do that actually in the next up and coming days. And then Game Boy Color games were always in this sort of see-through case, weren't they? So Prince Nassim Boxing. Whatever happened to him? Whatever happened to him? The one that used to have leopard print. I'm going to Google him actually, see what happened to him. X-Men Mutant Wars. That's a half-decent game actually for the Game Boy Color. I remember that one. We've got Rayman 2. I've not played that. I've not played it. Thunderbirds. I always prefer Captain Scarlet to Thunderbirds. I've not played that one. Yeah, I always like Captain Scarlet. Don't play Captain Scarlet on the PS2, by the way. Just don't do it. Looney Tunes Collection Martian Alert. Not played that one. Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. I remember I bought something and this was in the back of it. Not in the back of it. It was like a bag of DS games, and this was just randomly in there. But I've not played it. I've got too many left. I think we've got Dracula. I think again, what is it? Dracula Crazy Vampire. Picked that up the same as Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. It was just sort of in the bag one day. Harry Potter. I think, if I remember correctly, that's like an RPG. It's actually quite good, if I remember right. I played it briefly and thought I need to go back and give that a bit of time because I played it quite late at night. But Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone on the Game Boy Color, pick it up if you get a chance. If you get a chance, give it a play. It was good. This is one I bought early on because I didn't know this was a thing when I was younger. I'd have picked it up. Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors. It's a half-decent game. I have played this. I never knew this was a thing growing up on the Game Boy. Otherwise, I'd have definitely purchased it. But as soon as I started collecting, I've had this in my collection for quite a while now. I didn't pay much for it at all. Maybe £2 or £3 on eBay quite a while ago. But I'm a massive Dragon Ball Z fan, so loved picking that up. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Play it on the PlayStation if you get a chance. And lastly, Chicken Run. I think Chicken Run was one of the first films I ever saw in the cinema. Just to put that out there. So that's it. That is my entire Game Boy collection. I don't think I'll get the opportunity to really go through that ever again. But like I say, to hit that milestone of getting all the games back I had, it's great, and we should sort of just acknowledge it when it happens, because you put so much time and effort into doing these sort of things. If you don't take stock and realise the sort of milestones you hit, sometimes you just keep going and you don't appreciate what you have. So really glad to have these. I'm going to display them. I've just realised some of these games I am just going to sit here and play these in the next couple of minutes, I think, just to see, because there's no point in never playing them, is there? I don't know why I've not played these, but this is my Game Boy collection. Little tiny bonus video for you, just to show you what I've picked up. Thank you very, very, very much for joining me. Take care of yourself, guys.